Obviously, I'm a writer, so writing and reading go hand in hand. Um, I learned how to read at a really young age. Um, when my family moved from Montreal Nord to RDP, I used to be in a preschool, but when we moved, I was just never like enrolled in another preschool when I moved to RDP, so I would just stay home with my mom. I would watch children programming, like TV shows for kids all day, every day, you know? And thank God for that because that's how I learned how to read. I learned how to read by watching shows with kids all day. I do remember the first words that I read ever. Um, I was about 5 or 6 in our kitchen at home, and I was looking at a box of salt. It's so like it's basic stuff, like really basic stuff. And I just remember reading sel de table, which means table salt. And I was like, hey, I can read. And that began my big love affair with reading and writing and all of that. But yeah, so I was able to start kindergarten and I already knew how to read. To me, I don't know, I just love reading. I've always loved reading. My family, like I come from a family of avid readers. So it was natural for me to just fall in love with reading books and just, pouring over the pages of a good book, reading like suspense or crime stories or even love stories, romance, just I'm glad. I'm so glad I grew up in a family that just loves to read. It was normal for us to, like, for me and my sisters to go to the library on the weekends and grab a whole bunch of books. I used to love going to the library growing up, and even to this day, like I haven't been going to libraries as much, and I should, and I want to. But to me, going to a library is feel like a kid in a candy store. You don't know what you're going to discover. You don't know what's the next book that's going to make you stay up all night, just like reading every page. I get so excited talking about it because to me that was fun. Like, I know I'm a nerd, I'm a bookworm. I don't care. I'm proud of it. I'm proud to be a word nerd. I love words. I know it sounds silly. Um, One of the things that if you want me to be distracted as I'm doing something important, just give me a dictionary. Give me a dictionary. I can spend hours reading through a dictionary, just reading words and definitions. I love it. I know this is probably not normal. You've never heard that before, but love. I love words. I love books. It's just, thank God that He put that in me because, the talent that He's given me with my writing just goes hand in hand with how much I love books. There's so many things to discover. It's really discover you get to peek into the mind of someone who was creative enough to come up with a storyline, characters, and plot twists. To me, just a book is just a new adventure to fall into. And I love it. I love books. I love books. I want to read more books. I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks because, I'm a busy woman. It's easier now for me to listen to audiobooks. I was resistant to audiobooks for many years because it's not a real book. I need to feel the pages of the book. I need to feel the crease of the book. But, it's just as good. It's just as good. I do want to read more. I do want to write more. I've been writing more thanks to my new newsletter. But you have a couple of books, novels that I'm working on. There's a novel that I started back in 2009. It's just sitting in my hard drive, and another book that I've started I think last year. so many other ideas for novels and books and films, scripts, all of that. They're just sitting in my brain. Hope that God gives me courage and the strength to write them down and publish them, see them come to life. I'm currently learning Spanish and Italian. Why? Let me tell you why. Spanish because I've been meaning to learn Spanish for a long time. I remember back in the sixth grade, I had a friend at school who started teaching us some words in Spanish, and I thought that was so cool. But it wasn't really like a class. Um, Italian, actually, I'm learning, relearning Italian. I learned Italian as a child in elementary school. Those of you who don't know, RDP has a lot of Italians. So in a way, we're kind of, I guess, exposed to Italian culture every day, everywhere you go in RDP. Yes, there are a lot of Haitians there as well and other countries, but it is, I would say, predominantly Italian, depending on where you live in RDP. So in my school, there was this lady who would come and give Italian classes. And at first, it was during lunchtime, which was great. So I attended a couple of classes, and the only thing I learned that I remember learning at that time was Come ti chiami, which means what is your name. At some point, the schedule changed for the Italian classes, and they moved it from lunchtime to after school. Now, if you remember, I said that I enjoy watching TV, and that growing up, that was the thing. In my household was watching TV. So I stopped attending Italian classes as it was after school, and it would impede on my ability to watch my programs. So as an 8-year-old, I decided that TV was more important than learning a new language. 30 years later, I decided to learn Italian again. And not just because I had learned it before, but because I stay ready. What does that mean? That means that if God chooses to move me to Italy for whatever reason, I'll be ready. To Milan. Yes, I visited Milan last year for my birthday with some of my friends, and I fell in love. I thought it was amazing. I felt like this is where I belong, you know, very on brand. So I was like, you know what? Let me just learn. Let me learn. And yeah, I've been using Duolingo. This is not a sponsored video or anything, but if Duolingo wants to sponsor me, go ahead, please. So I've been learning Spanish and Italian for over a year now. I'm on a good streak, like I think 520-day streak. Um, there were two instances, I guess, or one instance where I wasn't able to complete like my daily lesson, and because I've been using Duolingo for over a year, I get like freebies in terms of like if I miss one day. So thank God my streak is intact. So yeah, I've been challenging myself learning Spanish and Italian. So if ever I, not if ever, whenever I go back to Italy, and if someone wants to know if there is a store near, I can understand. And if I go to a Spanish speaking country and I need to know where the bathroom is, to be honest, like I'm not fluent. I'm not yet fluent. I understand things. I've been able to understand Spanish for a while, but now that I'm taking lessons, I understand better ish. And I mean, both languages look like French, so that's that helps a lot. But I'm not fluent yet.
I'm not fluent yet. So if someone speaks Italian or Spanish to me very slowly, I can maybe understand. I have a lot of work to do, but I'm on my way.
My favorite season, yes, it's spring for many reasons. First one is because my birthday is in spring, my birthday is in April. And the other reason is because everything is just blooming. Trees blooming again. You start seeing buds on trees, and it's a sign of rebirth. Spring means that winter is over, which is always amazing because living in Canada in the winter is hard. Not as hard as before because climate change, but it's winter is depressing, and I know I do not ski. No, I do not do winter activities because it's cold and my bones hurt. Yes, my bones hurt, so I can't stay outside too long. Even though I'm all like bundled up or whatever, my hands get cold super fast. And yes, it's a condition. My doctor is aware of that, but I can't enjoy outside in the winter. I enjoy snow from my house. I look out, I look at the snow.
It's beautiful, and that's it. So this mic keeps giving up on me. Not the mic, but I guess the receptor connected to the phone. So I will just go ahead and continue without the mic as the receptor, whatever receiver thing is charging. So yes, I'm not one to enjoy winter activities because of mostly my health. I don't like the cold, and even before I had lupus, I did not enjoy winter. That's just the way it is. So yes, I do love spring, but I also have a soft spot for the fall, mostly because of fall fashions, sweater weather, and it's just how beautiful trees look outside. All the colors, the reds, the oranges, the yellows, it's just so beautiful. And I feel really privileged, living in Montreal, living in Quebec, to see the leaves changing colors. And I know that there are other areas in North America that do see this, like in Boston, New York, whatever, Vermont. I remember there were two instances where I think in November I was in Boston one year, and then the year before that I was in New York, and I remember just looking at the foliage. I remember one year I went to visit one of my cousins in New York, and she was like, "Okay, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "You know what? The only thing really on my list is I want to be in Central Park in the fall. Just want to look at the leaves." And that was not much, right? But that was my thing. I love fall up until a point. Up to a point. I would say I love fall up until the first week of November. That's when it gets freaking cold, and the trees don't have leaves anymore. They're just starting to look ugly and skinny and sick. So I'm not really into like November fall. I'm more into like late September, late October fall, where everything is pretty and you got on your big scarf, you put on your nice leather boots, you got on your nice sweater, you're wearing your maroons and burgundies and burnt oranges and forest greens and all of that. You're feeling the fall weather. And then November, just everything goes downhill. You gotta take out your winter coat. You gotta start wearing your winter hat, and it's cold. You gotta change your tires on your car because snow is coming, and it's just depression. But before that, weeks before that, you get to enjoy the beauty of fall. Fun fact about me is that a lot of the things that I learned in life, I don't want to say most of the things, but a lot of the things I learned in life, whether it was about pop culture, history, or films or whatever, I learned them through The Simpsons. I was an avid Simpsons fan. I still am a fan. It's just I don't watch the new episodes. I haven't watched the new seasons. I think the writing is not as good as it used to, but I spent most of my childhood, teenage years, and young adult years just watching The Simpsons. And I can quote The Simpsons. Um, I find myself quoting The Simpsons every day somehow, depending on the situation. Any situation can apply to a Simpsons episode. Um, a lot of the inside jokes I have with some of my friends, and I would say like one of my sisters, like have to do with The Simpsons. One quote that I love is from it's an episode where I think Homer was at the video store and he was watching a preview of a McBain movie. If you don't know who McBain is, you're missing out on life. And basically, that movie was, I would say, a parody of any action movie by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And in that scene, it was really, I would say, a parody of Lethal Weapon, actually. And McBain was sitting at a diner with his partner who was about to retire, and then this hoodlum comes in on a motorcycle and shoots his partner, and and when his partner is like it's about to die, he's like, go get him, and in his hand he had a picture of his boat, the boat that he would just he would be on, like, because he was about to retire, right?
I'm not gonna make it.
Oh, stop talking crazy.
No. Just do one thing for me. Get Mendoza.
So whenever I see the last name Mendoza, every time I see the last name Mendoza, I yell,
Mendoza!
That's yeah. Anything can be related to The Simpsons. You can apply any Simpsons episode, scene, song to anything in life. And I am proof of that, because just anything. It's silly, it is silly. You would think that someone with a bachelor's degree in English literature who enjoys classic films and who studies the Bible would not be able to quote The Simpsons as much as I do, but I do. I'm a complex being and I love it. For those of you who have been following me on social media, on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and who are not aware that I love to watch football, you've been living under a rock. And for those of you who know that I love football and do not know that I love the New England Patriots, I'm worried about you. I'm concerned. I'm very concerned about you. Yes, I've been a fan of the New England Patriots since Super Bowl 36. I've been a fan since I would say a couple of days before the Super Bowl. I was watching a program on TV on a Saturday afternoon, I think, and it featured the Patriots, and they were talking about how they were the underdogs for that Super Bowl. They played against the Rams. Back then, they were the St. Louis Rams. Now they are the LA Rams, but back then they were in St. Louis. So the St. Louis Rams were known to be the greatest show on turf. And Kurt Warner was the QB back then. So comparing Kurt Warner to Tom Brady was like, well, this guy's an underdog. The team is an underdog. The last time they were in the Super Bowl was in '96 and they lost. So it was kind of a big deal, but again, I was not aware of the Patriots. I did not know about the Patriots, never heard about them. All the teams I learned about back then were like Broncos, the Giants, the Dolphins. I knew nothing about the Patriots. So during that TV program, they were mentioning that, pictures of the underdog, and they're like, check out this little whippersnapper called Tom Brady. And I was watching the program, and I was like, these guys could win. I don't know, I felt it in my body. I decided right then that I was gonna root for the Pats during the Super Bowl. And the rest is history. Yeah, so I've been rooting for them through ups and downs. Yes, I'm a big fan of Tom Brady, but I'm also a big fan of the Patriots. So I was fortunate enough to go to a preseason game in 2019. It was against the Carolina Panthers, and I was in the same vicinity as Tom Brady and Julian Edelman. So that was something. Did not see them. We were in the nosebleeds. It took us like maybe 30 to 45 minutes to get to our seats. Gillette Stadium is quite magnanimous as a stadium. It's a beautiful stadium. It's gorgeous, but if we were to measure how long it took for us to get to our seats in steps, I would say maybe 20,000. We were way up there. We had cheap tickets, but we were way up there at Gillette. But it was great. It was a great experience. It was great to be around other Pats fans. I was like, oh my God, I'm home. Thank you, Lord. But it was a great experience, and the team won, even though it was a preseason game. We still won. It was great. So yeah, I love the Pats, and I usually watch football games by myself with the TV on mute, which is something kind of weird, but it's for my nerves. I've invested a lot of time and money and emotions, blood, sweat, and tears into loving this team. I still love them. I know we're not as good as we used to be, but I'm here for the rebuilding. I'm here for all of it. New QB, new coach. I'm here for it. I'll still root for my team. Yeah, I still love them. I'm having so many issues with sound. It's ridiculous. I bought these mics hoping that I would somehow have better quality for my sound in my videos, but it's not working out, but it's fine. One of my goals is to tap into my creative side a lot more. Having to spend so much time just working for a client for many hours a day and being consumed with their needs and their expectations and the issues that come up with their brand, whether it's their website or stock or whatever, I kind of, it kind of forces me to push my creative projects to the back burner. It just consumes so much of my energy and my time that I have very little left in a day, especially at the end of the day, to work on anything that I care about. And I'm entering a season in my life where I want to do more creative stuff and use the talent and gifts that God has given me, especially in terms of writing. I want to write more. There's so many projects that I want to work on, books that I want to write, and scripts that I want to write. I really think this is the time for me, as I'm about to turn 40 next year, to really dive into these projects and, kind of revive this part of myself that I neglect a lot of times. I do live in this duality of being a very rational and logical person and also being artistic, creative. Sometimes it's difficult to kind of balance because, one always wins. The rational, logical side will always win at the end of the day because I am a freelancer. I am living on my own. I don't have someone who supports me financially. I have to be a responsible adult, right? Bills got to get paid. I am, paying rent, paying my bills, paying my car, paying for the gas in the car, taking care of myself, just basic adult stuff that I need to be able to do as a creative, I wish sometimes that I could just be or live my best artistic life fully, and just, if I had it in me, I'd be a bohemian living in Milan, living my best life. Would I be broke? Maybe, probably. But, I have to find that balance where, yes, I'm able to feed into my creativity and also be able to provide for my needs. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge. It's a daily challenge. I do have to, I guess, figure out when is the best time to fully tap into my logical side and to fully tap into my creative side. I'm not saying that there is never a moment where I can kind of blend both, but it's, like I said, it's difficult. I have spent so many years being focused on performing in school and performing at work. And to be honest, placing some of my worth in the work that I've done in school and in the corporate world. It's really, I guess it's a tricky situation to be in when most of your life you spent it in school, focusing on just getting good grades. Most of my life, that was that, get good grades, so you can, get your diploma and get a good job. But there's so much more to life than just the corporate world and fitting into a mold. So I'm really entering into this season of my life, this, I would say, stage of my life, because it's not a season, it's really a stage of my life where I need to tap into my creativity a lot more and to give life to many projects that God has put on my heart. It is scary because it doesn't afford the sort of stability and security that a job does. But then again, no job is secure. But I really do feel that this is the right time for me to explore my creativity. And, we were kind of afforded this luxury now that we have platforms where we can be creative and people can tune into the content that we've published, and it can resonate with them no matter what we discuss. I'm not going to be for everyone. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And, that's true for social media and for life, but that's okay. I can find my tribe, I can find my people, and these people, I can connect with them, they can connect with me, and we can grow as a community. Ultimately, my goal with my content on social media and my newsletter is, yes, to connect with people, but to create a community where, we can just share similar interests. And yeah, I can use the gifts that I have, whether it's just, yes, writing with my newsletter or just communicating with my YouTube channel. So it is time for me to just explore my creativity a lot more. And, another beautiful thing with these social media platforms is that, maybe contrary to what we were told or taught growing up, especially in the 90s, 2000s, being artistic, it's not a way of life. You can't really live off of like your art or whatever. Or maybe it's back then it was a lot more difficult, and now with all the platforms that we have and the resources that we have and the tools that we have, all you need is like, a tripod, a ring light, a phone, a microphone that works, and you can create content and reach thousands or millions of people everywhere. And you can share your talent, and you're able to own your skills, because the more content you create, the better you get at it. So, and now there's so many ways to become successful at your craft without necessarily fitting into a mold. You can be your own brand, you can launch your own products, you can build a community, you can create your own career path and be successful. And you can define what success means to you. You don't have to conform to what society describes as successful. You can create your own definition of success based on the goals that you have, the purpose that you have, and the talent that you have. So this is an amazing opportunity, not just for me, but for a whole bunch of people to do that. And to not just keep our talent to ourselves. I remember years ago, I was talking to a friend, and I think I shared with him, I think back then it was a blog post, because I used to have a blog or something. I think it was poetry. I don't remember what it was. And he was like, "You're selfish." I was like, "Excuse me?" Like, you're selfish because you're not sharing your talent with the world. And it really struck me back then. And it still holds truth to this day, that I have been selfish with the talent that I have because I didn't want to share it with the world. I was too scared. I was too scared of what people might think or might say, because art is very personal, right? It's a reflection of who you are, and you have to be vulnerable as an artist, and especially when you have to share what you created. It's a piece of yourself that you're sharing with the world, and you're wondering, are people going to receive it? Will people take that seriously? So, but ultimately you have to be selfish, yes, but selfish in a sense that what you have on the inside needs to come out. And when it does come out, you get satisfaction. So if I can encourage anyone, is to stop being selfish with your talent in terms of sharing it with the world, and be selfish about your talent in terms of seeking that satisfaction you get when you share your gifts with the world.